New Day to AEW confirmed? Question mark. So last night, Swerve Strickland was 2 men shy of being able to stand his ground and maybe go for the Trios Championship. Now, in the moment, I did not put 2 and 2 together. I did not think the New Day at all. However, I went on the YouTube machine today. I saw a bunch of thumbnails with the New Day and AEW, and then it clicked. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Now that makes sense. Not gonna lie, in the moment, I was not feeling Swerve Strickland walking away, but now I kind of sort of seen the big picture here. And I still don't know how I feel about it, but it makes more sense. So you have Brody King, Bandino, and Adam Page. They come out. Swerve interrupts them, and he's like, I've had beef with all 3 of you guys. And he kind of goes down his history with Brody King, and then he goes down his history with Bandino, and then Adam Page. Now, I'm historically a WWE fanboy, but even the tales of the Cowboy and Swerve reached us over there in the WWE land. I know about the syringe, I know about the house, I know about the baby. What kind of feud is this? But yeah, so I was super interested in seeing what was about to transpire here. And last week, I believe I was even like, where's Swerve Strickland? I've been wanting to see Swerve, and not just in a match, but in some kind of angle. And well, ask and ye shall receive. So here we go. And he says, Adam Page, or I look away, and then when I look back, what's going on with you, dude? We fought together. We fought together to get the title, and now you can't even fight for the title? And Adam Page is like, well, I never took my eye off of you. And he's like, and you've been doing all these horrible things, and what do you got to show for it? Nothing. So it was very interesting and intense. I'm wondering where it's going to go from here, but then Ricochet, and 800 people come out with him. And I love Ricochet. I love Jay Lethal. Don't really know who the other guys are right now. Not gonna lie, kind of forget who they are, but they scream mid-card faction that has hit their ceiling. I really hope that we can get Ricochet higher up the card. I really like Ricochet. I like Jay Lethal too, but it seems like Ricochet's the star of this. And then they start saying to Swerve, what are you doing, Swerve? You're outnumbered 9-1. And Swerve's like, yeah, I kind of am. And they start talking a lot of smack. And he's like, get out of here. You're 2 men shy of a trios title. Just go, get out of here. And Swerve, he just puts up his hands and he walks away. Now, he does, he's not walking away like, oh, please don't hit me. He's walking away like, yeah, you're going to regret this. I'm going to come back and you're going to regret everything. And I don't know. I feel like that was definitely the realistic thing to do. You don't pick a fight with 9 people, 6 people. He didn't know if Adam Page would have his back. Why would Adam Page have his back? He was just telling him how much of a loser he was. So I get why Swerve kind of was just like, all right, fine, you win this time. But still, it just didn't sit right with me. It's wrestling. I wish he would have just socked Ricochet in his face and then ran away or something like that. But I get it, totally get it. And this does now set up him going to get some buds, and those buds being Kofi Kingston and, just Kofi, and not Xavier Woods, Austin Creed, New Day. And I thank God that the New Day can now come into AEW. But yes, that looks like that will be the play. Kind of wish I would have pieced it together myself. Totally blind. I was like, what is Swerve doing here? He doesn't have any friends. Are they going to get the Hurt Syndicate or something? I'm such a moron. Now we go to the rest of the Dynamite. We start off with Will Ospreay. He comes to the ring and he cuts a promo. It was, so I've heard that Will Ospreay does some, I don't know, not great promos, but honestly, I thought I've enjoyed every single one of his promos until last night. I was not a big fan of last night's promo. It got a little wibbly wobbly on me, a little wonky, but whatever. So you can have your bad nights. However, I did start to enjoy it when he started calling out Kenny Omega, and it was funny because I actually said Kenny Omega is doing a really good Roman Reigns impression right now, in that he shows up immediately after a PLE pay-per-view, has a banger segment, and then he just goes off TV. And then the next thing that Roman does is he comes back for a very short segment that could have been an email. And honestly, that's what Kenny Omega did tonight as well. So Will Ospreay starts calling out Kenny Omega for oh, look, he showed up to work today. Wow. And he's like basically calling him a part-timer and stuff. And this is very interesting because I don't think they've ever done the part-timer gimmick angle in AEW. So he's kind of calling him out. Eventually, though, who's the bald guy? Don Callis. Don Callis comes out and he says how Will Ospreay was always the best with him, and so was Kenny Omega. So you need to start thanking me. And he sends his family out to attack Will, and that brings out Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega fights them off with the pipe. He's very nonchalant about it. It's almost like, is he going to save him or is he not? Eventually he does, but he could have saved him sooner. Just like Will Ospreay could have decided not to murder him sooner when he had the plastic bag that at the Death Riders gave to him. They finally get to talking. Kenny Omega is like, he's kind of crouching and he starts saying how, I told you not to trust the Death Riders. I told you not to trust Don Callis. We got MJF breathing down our necks. Like, we got problems. And he's like, this is the last time I'm going to help you. And then Will Ospreay says, all right, fine. I didn't really ask for your help. Thanks, but don't help me. No thanks. And they kind of go off on their own. Now, I am actually really liking Kenny Omega right now. Historically speaking, I've not really been a Kenny Omega fan. And whatever they're doing with Kenny, I think it's working. I like this Kenny. He's not full heel, but he's definitely not full babyface here, and I'm enjoying him and his presentation right now. However, I do wish this would have been more. We have 2 weeks left, so I do know that there will be a bang and go home segment and all this stuff, but I like building, not build, skip, kind of build, but it's not going to ruin anything. I'll just say this. After last night's segment, I am neither more excited or less excited in seeing their match. I'm flatlined right now, and I want some. I need those clear. Poof, I need that for their feud. Then we got a 3-way: Mike Bailey, MJF, and Nick Wayne. So Nick Wayne, I remember him when he was with Christian, and everybody was like, they were like, oh, he's such a prodigy, and he was just so plain. I was like, what, huh? But I liked seeing his appearance yesterday. He definitely a little more flamboyant, a little more character. Speedball Mike Bailey, I don't know why, but every week I like him more. And that guy's a bigger dork than me. And let me tell you something, I'm a pretty giant dork. And then there's MJF. MJF's just hilarious. I love when MJF told Nick, hey man, do some of those flips or do some of those awesome moves. And Nick Wayne does, and then he pins him. 1, 2, he kicks out, and then the moment Nick Wayne just goes to, hey, what are you doing? The moment he turns him around, slap. Not even thinking about it. MJF just doesn't think about it at all. It was great. MJF's like, you just being in the ring. You're lucky for just being in the ring with me. Oh my gosh, he is so freaking good. So freaking good. And Speedball, I honestly, I kind of want to see Speedball versus MJF. I think that would be a really good feud. MJF, just the most horrible human on the roster, and Speedball, the most kind, nice person on the roster. I think that would be a great juxtaposition between those two. And it was a great match. And MJF will win. He's called himself the only true champion, OTC, Roman Reigns. That's hilarious. I didn't pick up on that either. I had to, someone else said it, and I was like, oh my God, he is so funny. He is so funny. It's probably payback for this shirt, this font right here, when WWE took the MJF font and made it to the MFT font. But, you know what? That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Some people don't like wrestling wars and stuff, but I do. I actually do. I like when each other throw pop shots at each other, but subtle pop shots. I don't want an entire episode of Dynamite to be like, WWE sucks, just like I wouldn't want WWE to do the same thing. But I do like when you can write a dig at the other company within the storyline. Nothing crazy, but here and there, beautiful stuff. Divine Dominion sends a message to the Brawling Birds. Okay, I guess. They did have one good line, though. Oh, you say you're undefeated? Doesn't matter. You haven't defeated us. So that was actually a pretty good line. Mick Foley speaks to the Bang Bang Gang. I am not feeling Mick Foley as an interviewer. I don't know. I actually have never really felt Mick Foley as a commissioner, as an interviewer, as a ring announcer. He's great. He's a legend and everything, but I don't know. I just don't feel him. But the guy is a living legend, so if anyone does deserve to just do whatever they want, dress however they want. Well, it is Mick Foley. And after they all do bang bang, that will lead to Switchblade Jay White versus the Dogs, David Finlay. It was a fine match. I like David Finlay. I like him in the Dogs. I just am not connecting with Jay White. I'm not. I think the fact that I was really looking forward to seeing Jay White, because I've heard a lot of good things about Jay White, and now that I'm not connecting with them, it's almost like taking away from my enjoyment of the match and stuff. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why I don't like Jay White. It's not even that I don't like Jay White, even worse. I have no feelings. I have no feelings whatsoever. I don't hate him. I don't like him. And that is an issue. It's better to be completely hated than just completely not cared about. And that's where I'm at with Jay White. So, I'm really, really hoping that something can happen. Now, before you throw in the comments about some of his great matches he's had, I 100% believe you, but I'm not going to watch him. I would rather see how Tony Khan can get me to be invested in Jay White than how New Japan would get me invested in Jay White from 3 years ago. I want to see Jay White win me over this version of Jay White, if that makes sense. I will say this, though. I do like the fact that we don't ignore other promotions here. Somebody in a comment section either last week or 2 weeks ago actually made that comment, and it didn't resonate with me until tonight when they were actually talking about how these two had multiple matches in different promotions. And I was like, oh, that is cool. We can actually acknowledge that they didn't just come out of their mother's womb yesterday and then signed with AEW. The New Day, we don't have to say, oh yeah, look at this bright new rookie team. No, we can say, wow, look at this 14-time tag champions coming to AEW. Amazing stuff. So I do appreciate that AEW respects and honors other promotions. Willow Nightingale does a sit-down interview, but is instantly attacked by Mercedes Moné. Some guy totally... I didn't like this. While this was going on, it's a backstage pre-taped, and he's yelling, "Sasha, come home, Sasha!" Now, I'm a huge Sasha Banks fan. I am. But it's like, there's a time and a place, and this was not it. This was a fan getting himself over, and I did not appreciate it. So that aside, I wish this segment would have gone longer. I kind of wish that they would have let Willow. Maybe she gets to talking and she starts getting really emotional at one point, and that's when Sasha attacks. She doesn't care that she was crying. She just attacks her. So I think it happened a little too quick. I would have liked maybe a 2-minute interview, and just when the emotions started coming, that's when Mercedes Moné attacked. Speaking of the crowd, though, the crowd was pretty dead tonight. The crowd was awkwardly dead. They came alive here and there, but for the most part, it was awkward. We do have Kevin Knight versus Chris Jericho, and this was bad. This was not good at all. I wish I had not seen it, and they got to stop giving Jericho matches longer than 7 minutes. Listen, if I could, I would just say maybe get the guy a retirement tour going on, but even if we don't do that, let's say he's going to wrestle until he's 80 because he just loves Mick Jagger and he wants to be the Mick Jagger of wrestling. Fine, whatever. Just give him 7-minute matches. Give him 5-minute matches. He doesn't need to go longer than that. There was a spot that I'm sure everybody's making fun of, but it was Don Callis was not in the proper place, or something happened, and Don Callis is going in, but then he's going back out. Chris Jericho, he has Jet in the Lion Tamer, and then he's dragging him there, and then Don Callis barely hits him. It just makes the Jet look bad, honestly, because at this point, from everything that I've heard about Chris Jericho and I've seen since starting to watch since Double or Nothing, yeah, Chris Jericho's not impressing me. And even when he does impress me, it's almost like in spite of himself. I'm like, oh wow, he just didn't botch. Good for him. And it's like, just give him 7-minute matches. The guy deserves all the accolades in the world. But it's like, it just made... it makes Kevin Knight look bad. That's my issue with this. If Chris Jericho's like, fine, whatever, ha ha ha, I botched, no biggie, fine. But Kevin Knight is the victim here. He really is the victim here, because that, when he was dragging him, I'm sorry, Chris Jericho, one of my all-time favorites, not lying, one of my favorite debuts of all time is Chris Jericho on Monday Night Raw. But like, just it was painful. It was painful last night to see that, and I hate saying that about Chris Jericho, because I know it's the cool thing to hate Chris Jericho, and I'm not trying to hate just to hate. I promise you I'm not. Chris Statlander versus Via Van, and then Chris Statlander will win, and then she gets a title shot next week, and we have then a TBS champion, Maya World, and Thunder Rosa versus Sheeta and Persephone. Now, Persephone doesn't take the pin here, but we will have Sheeta does after miscommunication. I think it's a fatal four-way, the TNT Championship next week. So I like, why was Thunder Rosa in this match and not Chris Statlander if they're all going to have a fatal four-way next week? So that's a little weird. I don't fully understand. But at least there was two women's matches, so there we go. There's a plus there. So Darby Allin has a backstage interview or segment, and he says, Kevin Knight, we're going to have a Falls Count Anywhere match or something like that. You know, I believed in you at one point, and you kind of let me down. I haven't been able to grieve my title loss because you attacked me right away. And I just don't get why we're doing this match. I mean, I do on some level. Yes, Kevin Knight attacked Darby Allin after he lost his title, but they had a one-on-one match that was fairly clean, I believe, and Kevin Knight beat him. So, like, if Kevin Knight beats him again, will they just go on forever until Darby Allin wins? So, like, I wish there was something. I wish Kevin Knight would have cheated, even. That way Darby Allin could be like, fine, you know what? You cheated, so we'll just make sure there's no rules. Then there's a storyline reason why they could have another match. Also backstage was Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis. Kyle Fletcher saying that he wants to be the greatest international champion, or whatever championship he holds, he wants to be the greatest of that. And he's already, international, because he's like, I'm gonna defend it at another country, All In. And then Don Callis was like, oh, that's great. Me and Tony Khan, we were having golf, and well, you're gonna face it Takeshita for it. And that's who Kyle won it from. And he said then also, and good news, it's going to be a triple threat, and it'll give us a 66% chance of winning because we're going to have Okada in it. We'll keep it in the family. And then Kyle gets mad. He's like, but I want to keep it on me. And Okada says, well, you just keep it in the family. Now, honestly, I was super hyped about Takeshita because I started at Double or Nothing, and the way Kyle Fletcher attacked Takeshita, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. And I could care less now. I know that's sacrilege to people, and everybody's telling me, oh, we're going to have this triple threat, but there's no real build here. Like, for a fan like me who is just coming to this, there's really been very little to get excited about. I don't really see them interacting on TV a lot. Like, whatever history they had before, then they have all that, and I'm glad you guys and gals are enjoying it. But for somebody who's been watching for about 2, maybe 3 months, I don't even know, I can't get into it because, well, I haven't seen much. I've seen Kyle Fletcher versus Speedball Bailey. That was great and amazing. But at this point, I'd rather see they have a rematch because I'm not seeing anything with Takeshita and Kyle, really, or Takeshita and Okada. So I know some people have gotten super mad at me for even dare saying where's Takeshita, because everybody keeps telling me, oh, he's in the G1 or he's in a tournament or something in Japan, and that's fine. I'm very happy that Takeshita is in a tournament in Japan, but honestly, he might as well be filming a movie with Cody Rhodes doing Street Fighter. Like, just because he's in Japan, like, he's still away from the AEW product, and I'm watching the AEW product. So, like, I've lost almost all interest in Takeshita, which is a shame because I think he was the first person I connected with when I started watching AEW at Double or Nothing, other than MJF. I've always connected with MJF. But yeah. And then Edge and Christian and the Young Bucks, where are they? Like, I hate this wrestling trope now also that we just take people off TV. There's no mention of them. We just stop and go with the storyline. I just don't like it. I'd rather just build, especially for their version of WrestleMania. But you know what? To be fair, though, WWE stop and starts their WrestleMania builds all the time as well. And then the final main event of the night, the Continental Champion Moxley versus Jack Perry, Jungle Jack Perry. I find it hilarious that they have to say, oh, it's a Continental match. Nobody can interfere. It's like, I thought like every single match, nobody's supposed to interfere. But that said, I walked in thinking no way, no how can Jack Perry win this match. It was such a foregone conclusion. I didn't even think I was going to enjoy the match, but boy, was I wrong. Jack Perry really showed up tonight. Like I was very impressed. At one point, he was just slapping Moxley, putting his middle fingers in his face, and I was just like, yeah, he's about to go down, though. He's about to go down, and then he just kept going. He kept fighting. I don't know. I thought this was a solid match, and for me to walk in and know that Jack Perry was not going to win, and then he doesn't win, but for me to still find enjoyment throughout the entire thing, I'm actually pretty impressed. So great job, Jack Perry. And this, I feel, was a good use of Jon Moxley fighting someone lower on the card than him, but going the distance. Sometimes I've seen Jon Moxley fight just some complete nobody, and it's a 20-minute match. I'm like, this should have been over 15 minutes ago. This Jack Perry match, it like, in theory, should have been like a 10-minute match, but Jack Perry showed up tonight, and he caught Jon Moxley a little off his game, and he was able to go the distance. This is how you win in defeat, and I do hope there is something for Jack Perry on the other end of this matchup, because it was solid. Very solid. I mean, not even a big Jack Perry fan, but he did kind of win me over tonight, not gonna lie. I really enjoyed this. His music is pretty banging as well. So, all right, boys, all right, girls, that was my Dynamite review. Overall, very inconsequential show, but it wasn't necessarily bad, with the exception of Chris Jericho. But if we have started the tease for the new day, well, then I'm all in. All right, boys, all right, girls, see you, bye.